We are dropped right into New York City. A caption lets us know that it has been exactly 3 weeks since the devastating events of Ultimatum. Nick Fury looks incredibly shocked. He spits out a censored swear word in pure disbelief as he stares at something in front of him. Now we see exactly what Nick Fury is staring at. He and Hawkeye are standing together, looking out at the Triskelion, which is currently a massive, heavily damaged construction zone covered in cranes and spotlights. Fury starts complaining loudly to Hawkeye, frustrated that he only stepped away for 10 minutes and the entire facility somehow went to hell. The conversation continues between the two men on the dark roof. Fury grumbles about how much money the architect charges just for the design work. Hawkeye defends the situation, explaining that the building's flood defenses actually kicked in perfectly to save it, and the facility is already 75% operational again. Hawkeye then points out that Fury is out of the loop because the new S.H.I.E.L.D. president, Carol Danvers, has essentially stripped the organization of its old, unchecked power. Fury fires back, arguing that they should have just executed Magneto when they had the chance. Hawkeye bluntly reminds him that he lost his job and just has to accept that he isn't allowed to play on the front lines anymore. Annoyed, Fury finally asks why Hawkeye even called this meeting. Hawkeye tells Fury that he is here to make him an official offer. When Fury asks what's going on, Hawkeye drops a massive bombshell. Captain America has completely gone rogue. Because the story is on the verge of leaking to the public, Director Danvers desperately needs Fury to come back and lead a Black Ops team to hunt Cap down. A surprised Fury asks what caused all of this, and Hawkeye reveals that Captain America finally found out the truth about the Red Skull. The story suddenly jumps backward in time. We are now in Chicago, exactly 1 day earlier. The scene opens in midair with Hawkeye hanging out the side of a flying military helicopter, dodging active gunfire. He is shouting into his earpiece, desperately asking Captain America for a little bit of assistance. The chopper is being piloted by hostile enemies wearing matching yellow and green tactical suits. The hostile guards tell Hawkeye over the radio that the explosion he just heard was Captain America, and it's just him and them alone. Right then, Cap makes a wildly explosive entrance. He crashes straight through the glass windows of a high-rise office building, riding a sleek red flying motorcycle. Cap jokes about what kind of girl gets stopped by a bomb before launching his bike right at the enemy helicopter. In a crazy mid-air stunt, he leaps off the flying motorcycle and dives directly into the open side door of the chopper. Once inside the helicopter, Captain America immediately goes to work. The small cabin is packed with soldiers wearing those yellow and green suits and heavy gas masks, but Cap doesn't hesitate. He aggressively fights his way through the tight space, throwing kicks and using his shield to bash the enemy's back. It is a brutal, chaotic, close-quarters brawl. The fight wraps up quickly. Hawkeye has climbed into the cockpit and has his pistol aimed right at the pilot's head, ordering the scum to keep flying. Meanwhile, Cap points out that one of the guards isn't even wearing a parachute, teasing him by saying he likes to have a little mobility when he's fighting international terror. Cap radios into S.H.I.E.L.D. control, confirming that they have officially secured the first AIM helicopter and are closing in on the second target. The scene shifts back to New York, inside the high-tech S.H.I.E.L.D. monitor room at the Triskelion. Colonel Carol Danvers is overseeing the mission. She asks her staff what the enemy's name, AIM, actually stands for, and is told it means Advanced Idea Mechanics. She then asks for word on Tony Stark. The satellite crews inform her that they have tracked him down to a bar on the south side of Chicago. The communication feed links up, and we see Tony sitting in a dimly lit club, answering his phone like nothing is wrong. Danvers is furious, demanding to know why he went absent during a recovery operation, leaving Cap and Hawkeye completely on their own out there. She mentions that AIM just raided the Baxter building to pull off a top-secret theft. We see exactly where Tony is hiding out, and it turns out he is lounging in a very intense underground fetish club, surrounded by women in leather gear while casually playing a game of chess. He tells Danvers that he's just trying to cope with his severe depression following the recent Wolverine situation. He claims his therapist recommended submitting to every single urge. Danvers is absolutely disgusted, telling Tony he is a disgrace and that she won't tolerate his pathetic behavior the way Nick Fury used to. Tony completely ignores her anger, casually tells her to relax, and says that tomorrow's hangover will be his own personal apocalypse. We jump right back into the intense aerial chase over Chicago. Cap and Hawkeye's hijacked helicopter is flying closely alongside the second aim chopper. Through the open side doors, we can see the enemy soldiers inside the second bird firing their weapons rapidly across the gap. Cap blocks the incoming hail of bullets with his shield. He tells Hawkeye to stay put and look after their side of the cargo because he is heading over to the other chopper. Hawkeye asks if he wants him to fly them closer, but Cap says it shouldn't be necessary as he boldly leaps out the door. Cap lands flawlessly inside the second chopper and instantly goes on the offensive. As he throws a heavy punch at an AIM agent, he angrily lectures them. He points out how unbelievable it is that they would use a massive disaster, referencing the recent flooding of New York, as an opportunity to pull off a robbery. He systematically dismantles the crew, kicking and knocking out the soldiers in a blur of motion. Suddenly, a new threat steps out from the cockpit of the helicopter. It's a massive, incredibly muscular man wearing a simple white t-shirt. His face is terrifying. It is completely red, looking like a literal skull, with a dark cross carved right into the center of his forehead. It is a Red Skull. He fiercely agrees with Captain America's accusation, proudly confirming that they are indeed ruthless opportunists. Red Skull immediately launches his attack, proving to be incredibly fast and powerful. He trades blows with Cap and counters with a kick that sends Cap flying back into the helicopter's cabin. As they fight, the Red Skull mocks Cap, explaining the logic of their heist. He says that every other day of the year, the Baxter building is locked down tighter than Fort Knox. The global crisis was literally the only time they could have ever gotten in there. He then picks up a heavy metal rod and swings it hard, cracking Cap right in the back. The Red Skull is absolutely dominating the fight. He continues to relentlessly beat a bloody and battered Captain America down onto the floor of the chopper. Standing over the fallen hero, the Skull laughs, mentioning that he was always told that this building was supposed to be Mr. Fantastic's masterpiece. He kicks Cap, declaring that AIM certainly seems excited by his work. Over in the first chopper, Hawkeye watches the beating unfold and asks what the hell is going on over there. Inside the second chopper, the Red Skull grabs Cap roughly by the head and pulls him in close. He tells Cap that he is going to explain exactly who he is and how a stranger just took him apart so easily. He leans in tight and whispers a secret into Cap's ear. After delivering the message, he asks Cap if he finds that interesting, and then immediately throws him violently out the open door of the moving helicopter. Captain America is now free-falling hundreds of feet through the sky toward the city streets below. Back in the chopper, the Red Skull mocks him, telling him to go play with the sidewalk because he has stolen parts to deliver. Hawkeye watches Cap fall, curses under his breath, and without a second thought, leaps right out of his own helicopter to save him. Back at the SHIELD base, Danvers watches the monitor in sheer panic, screaming over the radio to ask Hawkeye what he is doing, because he cannot fly. Hawkeye dives face first toward the ground, moving as fast as he can to catch up with the helpless Captain America. He calmly tells Danvers to relax, because he never misses. But Danvers reminds him that he doesn't even have a parachute. He manages to close the gap and wraps his arms tightly around Cap in midair. With Cap secured in his grip, Hawkeye pulls a hidden ripcord on his tactical gear. The ground is rushing up to meet them incredibly fast as they plunge past the tall Chicago skyscrapers. As they brace for the inevitable impact, Hawkeye groggily asks Danvers to stop shouting in his ear. He notes that Cap should be fine. Hawkeye deploys a parachute straight out of Cap's pack. It opens just at the last possible second, violently jerking the two heroes upward and slowing their dangerous descent. They safely drift down alongside the towering office buildings. The tension in the SHIELD monitor room finally breaks. Danvers, looking at the screen, tells Hawkeye that he is completely insane. However, Hawkeye corrects her, stating that if she meant he is actually awesome. We see the two heroes slowly drifting down toward a snow-covered park surrounded by bare trees. Hawkeye and Cap hit the ground hard, tumbling through the snow next to a park bench. High above them, the AIM chopper successfully escapes into the sky. Inside the getaway vehicle, the Red Skull looks down at the park and casually compliments Hawkeye on the nice catch. Down in the snow, Hawkeye checks on his teammate and asks Cap how the guy up there managed to beat him so badly. Cap is bruised, bleeding, and looks completely traumatized by what just happened. Staring blankly ahead, Cap answers Hawkeye's question by revealing the terrible secret the villain whispered to him in the helicopter. Cap says the Red Skull told him that he is his son. We open with a flashback to Brooklyn in 1945. Steve Rogers, dressed in his classic World War II Captain America uniform, is standing in a bedroom. Sitting on the bed next to him is a woman named Gail Richards, who tells Steve that he looks amazing. Cap admits he felt a bit stupid when he first put the suit on, mentioning that Bucky Barnes told him he looked like the Lone Ranger. Gail brushes the comment off, calling Bucky an idiot and telling Cap he looks like a god. They embrace, and Gail marvels at how tall he is now and how heavy his arms feel, saying the only things she actually recognizes are his eyes and his hair. She asks what he keeps in his utility pouches, and Cap lists off his gear, noting that he carries ammo, a compass, and pocket binoculars. Things get intimate as Gail pulls Cap down onto the bed, telling him she wants him right there. Cap hesitates for a second, asking if this is a good idea and wondering when her father is coming home. Gail reassures him that her dad won't be back for hours and points out that Steve is only on leave for one single night after being away for 3 years. They continue spending time together, with Gail insisting that he keep the mask on. The story skips ahead 4 months. A distressed Gail is sitting in a formal office surrounded by government officials and doctors. A doctor breaks the news that her pregnancy test came back positive and her baby is due in the spring. The men in the room explain the extreme delicacy of the situation, noting that they have the late Captain America's reputation to protect. They inform Gail that she will be moved to a safe house, compensated for any inconvenience, and the baby will be put up for adoption with a pre-selected family. We jump back to the present day in New York City. Iron Man is flying closely alongside a massive military transport plane. Inside the aircraft's cabin, Captain America is sitting in silence while Hawkeye tries to make conversation with him. Hawkeye observes that Tony Stark has been acting completely different lately after the Wolverine thing. Hawkeye shifts the conversation, asking Cap where his head is at after AIM just escaped with stolen Fantastic Four hardware. When Cap doesn't respond, Hawkeye pushes further, addressing the elephant in the room. He tells Cap that the villain claiming to be his son was just spouting absolute garbage to mess with his head. Hawkeye tries to reassure Cap that it was nothing more than a psychological trick to throw him off. Suddenly, Cap snaps into action. He apologizes to Hawkeye, stating that they both know the villain wasn't lying, and immediately kicks Hawkeye squarely in the face. Without missing a beat, Cap starts violently taking down every single SHIELD soldier in the cabin. He uses his shield and bare hands to brutally knock out the armed guards before they can even react to his sudden betrayal. The chaos inside the plane causes a massive explosion that blows a huge hole right through the side of the fuselage. Up in the cockpit, the pilots are panicking as the alarm systems blare. Meanwhile, Captain America is shown in free fall, plummeting backward out of the burning aircraft and toward the ocean below. As the damaged plane struggles to maintain its altitude and flies away, Cap plunges directly into the water with a massive splash. Back on the aircraft, a battered Hawkeye drags himself up to the ragged hole in the wall. He looks down at the ocean and tells the remaining crew that they have a serious problem. The scene transitions to the Triskelion, SHIELD's North American base. Carol Danvers and Hawkeye are walking briskly down a massive corridor, passing members of the Fantastic Four along the way. Reed warns Danvers that the stolen Baxter Building materials represent a major global threat. Danvers notes that they have their own serious crisis to deal with right now. When she questions why they are having this specific meeting, Hawkeye explains that Nick Fury is the only person alive who can keep a lid on their current situation. Danvers and Hawkeye enter a room to find Nick Fury casually lounging in a chair. Fury welcomes them to his old playpen, but Danvers immediately shuts down his attitude. She makes it clear that she views him as a criminal and would arrest him if they weren't in the middle of a national emergency. Fury suggests they all sit down so he can help them figure out a way out of their current mess. We flash back to see an older Gail Richards and an older Bucky Barnes standing outside their suburban home. Government agents are forcing them into a black car. Bucky angrily resists, demanding to call his lawyer and asking why everyone is suddenly so worried about Steve Rogers. The agents insist it's for their own good and that they are being moved to a more secure location. Gail calmly tells a panicked Bucky to just do what the agents say. Back in the present, Fury continues his explanation to Hawkeye and Danvers. He admits that the government's treatment of Gale wasn't exactly their finest moment, but reminds them that times were very different after Cap seemingly sacrificed his life. Hawkeye doesn't understand why Gale, who was supposed to be a tough reporter, never went public with the truth about giving away her baby. Fury speculates that she was either too scared or simply wanted to protect Cap's memory, noting that people back then just knew how to keep a secret. The true history of Cap's son is revealed through Fury's narration. Fury explains that the government completely lied to Gale. The baby was never given to an all-American adoptive family. Instead, he was taken to a restricted U.S. government military installation in the desert. Because Steve Rogers was their one big success, the government viewed this baby as a second chance. The boy grew up friendly and outgoing, proving to be a tactical genius who easily beat adults at chess and eventually had to race against machines because human athletes were no match for his physical abilities. As the boy grew into a teenager, he seemed perfectly happy and never once talked about escaping, despite being monitored by psychologists around the clock. By the time he was 14, he had already surpassed Captain America's abilities in almost every possible way. We see the young man at age 17, incredibly muscular, working out in a lab with heavy weights chained to his wrists while scientists observe him. Fury notes that the boy's compliance was all just part of a master plan. The boy finally makes his move. In a sudden, explosive burst of violence, he uses the heavy metal weights attached to his wrists as weapons. He swings the weights with terrifying force, brutally knocking out the scientists and guards in the room. He effortlessly takes down every single person in the facility, walking out of the room and leaving a trail of fallen bodies behind him. Fury's grim narration continues as we see the aftermath of the massacre. 247 people died at the compound that day, all victims of 17 years of bottled-up resentment. The boy single-handedly wiped out the entire heavily armed response team that was sent after him. The scene then shifts to the boy standing calmly in a kitchen, holding a large butcher knife. Fury explains that what truly haunts him is how the boy got his new face. To replace the face he inherited from his father, he cut it off himself. We are shown a disturbing full-page close-up of the boy harming his own face. His face is left raw and scarred, looking exactly like a skull. He violently transforms his appearance, fully becoming the villain known as the Red Skull. Returning to the Triskelion, Fury tells Danvers and Hawkeye that the Red Skull has been operating as a highly successful freelance assassin ever since his escape. Disgusted, Danvers sarcastically congratulates Fury on turning Captain America's son into a monster. When asked how to clean up the mess, Fury tells Danvers she needs to reopen Project Avengers and let him put together a new Black Ops Death Squad. Danvers agrees to give him Hawkeye, but insists the rest of her Ultimates team stays a million miles away from his operation. Fury confidently reveals that he already has his own lineup in mind, mentioning that he has connections to get them top-tier hardware from Tony Stark's older brother. The conversation turns back to Captain America's current whereabouts. Danvers asks how much Cap actually knows about all this. We see Cap typing frantically at a computer terminal as Fury states that Cap is smart, relentless, and learns incredibly fast. He warns them that they have to assume Cap knows absolutely everything. Steve, after finding secrets at the computer, suddenly looks terrified. He mutters, "My God," as a heavily armed strike team completely surrounds his workstation. The soldiers aim their assault rifles directly at the computer screen and order Steve to freeze and step away from the terminal. The commanding officer gives a countdown, warning the target not to make things harder than they have to be. Captain America explodes into the group of soldiers. The entire room is cast in a glaring red security light as Cap violently smashes through the squad using his shield. He takes the entire heavily armed unit by complete surprise, throwing them into absolute chaos. The scene jumps halfway across the world to a luxurious office at Stark Global Solutions in Singapore. A well-dressed man is standing by a massive window, looking out over the city. A SHIELD operative, using the codename New Black Widow, calls him on a secure line, addressing him as Mr. Stark. She informs him that Project Avengers is active again, and their immediate priority is hunting down Captain America. The man turns around, revealing a goatee, and politely corrects the agent. He tells her to call him Dr. Stark, noting that Mr. Stark is just his embarrassing little brother. On the other side, War Machine is flying in his heavy armor over the mountainous desert terrain. Base Command radios in to Colonel Rhodes, confirming that satellite images have located 2 specific hostages being held just northwest of Kandahar. Rhodes acknowledges the coordinates and heads in to handle the situation. Down in a dusty desert village, heavily armed terrorists are guarding the 2 captured American soldiers. The leader openly mocks his prisoners, noting that it would be a shame to just let 2 high-ranking commanding officers die on the road. He orders his men to call for transport because he wants to move the hostages immediately. Suddenly, one of the younger fighters looks up at the sky in sheer panic, wondering what is rapidly approaching. The entire terrorist camp looks up just in time to see War Machine crashing down from the sky. He lands with a massive explosive impact right in the center of the village, instantly scattering the insurgents and throwing dust everywhere. The locals watch in absolute shock as the heavily armored hero arrives to save the day. War Machine immediately checks on the 2 American soldiers, making sure they are all right. They confirm they are okay, mentioning they only lost a few teeth in the ordeal. One of the older village men drops his weapon and begs for mercy, claiming that the terrorists just arrived and the locals had nothing to do with this. War Machine completely ignores the plea, yelling at the man to shut up as he raises both of his hands and fires a repulsor blast directly into the crowd. The blast causes a horrific explosion, and we can clearly see the remains of the victims caught in the intense fire. One of the soldiers is absolutely horrified, screaming at Rhodes for attacking unarmed civilians. War Machine casually brushes off the war crime, arguing that the terrorists were just about to execute him for an internet video. He tells the soldier to keep quiet because he is getting an incoming communication from Base Command. The story jumps to the United Kingdom, specifically the headquarters for Strike, which is S.H.I.E.L.D.'s global security division. Hawkeye and Nick Fury are standing on the tarmac, waiting for a private Stark jet to offload its passenger. Hawkeye mentions he has never actually met Tony Stark's brother and asks if he is a good guy. Fury explains that the man is a total nightmare, completely immoral and far smarter than Tony, which makes him the perfect business partner. Gregory Stark, dressed in a sharp white suit, steps off the plane and immediately complains to Fury about how terribly uncomfortable the flight was. Walking down the stairs, Gregory orders his assistant to completely trash the private jet and buy him a new one because he refuses to fly in a piece of junk again. Hawkeye tries to make a joke, suggesting that if Gregory is anything like his brother Tony, he probably needs a stiff drink right now. Gregory simply glares at Hawkeye, insulting him and asking if he is some kind of degenerate alcoholic for wanting a drink in the morning. Gregory makes it incredibly clear that he is absolutely nothing like his brother, calling Tony a walking embarrassment and refusing to even say his name until Tony returns the company he stole. Before getting into his waiting car, Gregory aggressively asks Fury if they are going to go meet these new Avengers or just stand around making small talk all day. A stunned Hawkeye is left speechless, while Fury just smiles and reminds him that he warned him about Gregory's personality. We cut to Israel, where a masked assassin is setting up a sniper rifle in an apartment window. He chats with his spotter about the Secretary of State, criticizing her appearance as he waits for her to sit down so he can take a clear shot at her head. Just as he lines up his target, the scope suddenly goes blurry. Through the lens, we see a woman in a red and black suit rocketing directly toward his position. The hero, known as the Red Wasp, crashes violently right through the apartment window, completely ruining the assassination attempt. The spotter immediately apologizes and flees the room. The Red Wasp pins the sniper to the floor, and when he frantically asks who she is, she reveals that she actually used to be a terrorist known as the Insect Queen back in the day. Red Wasp explains that as part of her rehabilitation, Stark Solutions rebuilt her and implanted an obedience chip to keep her in line. She then uses her suit to painfully electrocute the sniper. She checks in with her handler over the radio, who informs her that Base Command is officially pulling her off bodyguard duty to join an upcoming Avengers mission. The handler notes that this is the first Black Ops team they have assembled in a long time. Back at the Strike Underground headquarters, Gregory Stark leads Fury and Hawkeye down into a massive laboratory. Gregory proudly notes that he has already recruited War Machine and the Red Wasp to their new team. Fury mentions that the mission is highly sensitive because it involves capturing the rogue Captain America, dealing with the Red Skull, and recovering a stolen ultimate weapon. Gregory assures them he is providing top-tier hardware that his brother would never dare to create. Hawkeye looks off-panel in absolute shock, swearing in disbelief at what he is seeing. We finally see what has Hawkeye so rattled. Strapped to a heavy medical examination machine is a massive Hulk with the top of its skull removed, exposing its brain to the surgical team. Fury tells a panicking Hawkeye to relax, explaining that this is a clone grown from Bruce Banner's stem cells. They call him Nerd Hulk, and he possesses all of the original Hulk's brutal strength, but retains a hyper-intelligent mind. Hawkeye still hates the idea, arguing that the creature is just too big and unpredictable for a stealthy Black Ops mission. The team approaches a desk where Spider-Man, or his clone as well, is casually reading a book. Gregory explains that this clone is so deeply disturbing that simply talking to him drove a technician to harm himself just last week. When Nick asks who this is, the Spider-Man clone coldly tells Fury that he really doesn't want to know his true identity. The action moves to Paris, France. Hawkeye is sitting outside a cafe in civilian clothes, talking into his earpiece. He jokes that it is funny they tracked Captain America to Paris because Cap hates the French. Over the comms, Fury checks in with the new Black Widow, asking how her physical upgrades are working out. We see the new Black Widow leaping gracefully across the Parisian rooftops in a sleek stealth suit. She aggressively tells Fury to drop dead and asks him to stop talking because the sound of his voice makes her physically sick. The banter continues as Black Widow scales a building. She tells Hawkeye that she couldn't care less if using the Black Widow codename offends him after what happened to his family. Meanwhile, surveillance shows Captain America casually walking down the street, heading exactly toward his hotel as planned. Fury reminds his team that their primary objective is to keep Cap far away from the Red Skull, noting that if Cap gets involved, the whole thing is compromised. The new Avengers team is perfectly positioned outside Cap's hotel. War Machine is driving a luxury sports car, waiting for the signal. Red Wasp hovers right outside the hotel window, while Nerd Hulk waits patiently down on the street, surrounded by tactical officers. Hawkeye gets over the radio and officially gives the team the green light to move in, feeling confident they have the element of surprise on their side. The element of surprise vanishes instantly. Before the team can even make a move, Captain America violently smashes outward through the hotel window in a shower of broken glass. Cap leaps out with his shield leading the way, sending Red Wasp flying backward. Down on the street, Hawkeye drops his glasses and pulls his pistol, admitting he absolutely was not expecting Cap to make the first move. Cap is in freefall toward the Parisian street. The Red Wasp struggles to recover from the explosive exit, while the Black Widow leaps off her perch to intercept him in midair. Cap expertly maneuvers his fall, bouncing off the roof of a truck where Fury and his team are hiding. Hawkeye aims his gun and fires a volley of tranquilizer darts, telling Cap to sleep tight. Cap raises his shield and blocks the shots. He asks Hawkeye if he thinks this is a game and uses the shield to expertly deflect the tiny darts right back at him. The darts hit Hawkeye in the face and neck, and he collapses instantly. A team of agents gets trapped inside their surveillance van because the door is jammed. Cap bounds effortlessly over a taxi, completely outrunning the pursuit. Fury frantically yells for War Machine and Nerd Hulk to go after him. Sitting in his car, War Machine watches Cap flee and mutters that Cap is a cocky guy before getting ready to pursue. War Machine's vehicle completely transforms into a massive, heavily armored robotic mech suit right in the middle of traffic. The giant metal machine towers over the civilian cars, swatting at the area as Cap fearlessly leaps through the air with his shield raised. War Machine challenges Cap, daring him to try and outrun this mechanical monster. War Machine's mech suit is shown in all its terrifying glory. The robotic armor is absolutely colossal, armed to the teeth with heavy Gatling guns, cannons, and missile launchers on its shoulders and arms. Standing tall in the streets of Paris, Rhodes taunts Captain America, telling the old soldier to prepare to meet Bob Hope. Captain America is desperately leaping out of the way of a massive, heavily armed War Machine mech suit. Cap curses as War Machine looms over him in the sky, tracking his every move. Cap isn't backing down from the fight. He flips backward through the air, yelling at War Machine to stop the attack before innocent bystanders get killed in the crossfire. Inside the suit, Rhodes decides to disengage his heavier weapons, dropping the massive shoulder cannons down to the street below. But Cap isn't interested in a truce. He promises to bust his face for escalating the situation. Down on the street, we see the messy aftermath of Cap's earlier handiwork. The tactical SHIELD teams are tending to their fallen comrades. The new Black Widow is checking on an unconscious Hawkeye, noting that Cap hit him in the neck. Nick Fury is visibly frustrated, learning that the Red Wasp was also taken down easily with nothing more than bug spray. He gets on the radio demanding an update from War Machine on how the pursuit is going. War Machine admits it's actually embarrassing how badly Cap is beating him. War Machine takes to the air, flying low over the Parisian streets and checking with base command to see if the area is clear of civilians. Once he gets the green light, he unleashes a heavy barrage of blasts, utterly destroying the vehicles Cap is using for cover. Fury warns Rhodes not to underestimate the living legend, refusing to believe Cap went down that easily. War Machine continues his aerial pursuit, boasting about his advanced 21st century hardware. He tracks Cap's movements using a GPS signal from 8 blocks away, confidently referring to himself as the Iron Man of the future. His radar pinpoints Cap hiding out on the second floor of a building behind a force field. War Machine readies his pulse cannons and activates tank mode, thinking Cap is crazy for trying to take him head-on in a tight space. It turns out Cap is completely ready for him. We see Captain America smiling confidently in a dark room, acknowledging that the trap is set. Down in the street, Base Command informs Fury that War Machine has been offline for 5 seconds now. Fury immediately orders the deployment of their heavy hitter, Nerd Hulk, as backup. Suddenly, War Machine falls down onto the street. Cap realizes he is outgunned and makes a run for it, sprinting across the Parisian rooftops while SHIELD helicopters swarm the skies above him. Back at command, the technicians realize Nerd Hulk has already gone off script. He ditched his communication trunks and disappeared from their tracking grid. Meanwhile, the Black Widow is hot on Cap's trail, leaping across the buildings to intercept him. Cap is tackled mid-air by the Black Widow, and the two crash violently through the glass sunroof of a taxicab down on the street. Widow pins him down in the wreckage, warning him to give up before she bashes his brains in. She tells him they can't have him running around jeopardizing their main mission against the Red Skull. Cap responds with a sarcastic remark, throwing a hand right into her face to break her grip. Cap blasts the Black Widow with a point-blank energy shot, sending her flying backward out of the ruined taxi. In the surveillance van, Fury watches the feed and dryly comments on Cap's cheesy comeback, joking that the super soldier must be addicted to daytime television. Cap doesn't waste any time. He aggressively plows through the street barricade and orders the tactical soldiers to get out of his way, before Nerd Hulk corners him with a massive smash, burying him into the ground. He grabs Cap firmly by the leg, politely but seriously demanding his surrender. Nerd Hulk explains he doesn't want to hurt him, but will do something awful if Cap doesn't comply. Cap looks up in shock, recognizing the bizarre combination of Bruce Banner's intellect and the Hulk's physical body, though Nerd Hulk calmly notes that observation is irrelevant to the current situation. Nerd Hulk makes good on his threat. Suddenly, the headache attacks Hulk's brain, and he screams in agony. Cap swings his shield with all his remaining strength, tries to run from the situation, yelling at them for taking away the physical edge of the Hulk. Suddenly, Cap is swarmed by a massive, blinding cloud of aggressive insects. He panics, swinging wildly as the bugs cover his face and body. Nick Fury radios the Red Wasp, confirming if she is the one controlling the insect swarm. The Black Widow, holding a tiny, miniaturized Red Wasp in her hand, tells Fury they are now doing things her way. Blinded and overwhelmed, Cap desperately leaps off a high ledge, plummeting toward the river below. Fury notes that sending him into the water won't finish the job. Cap dives into the river, trying to swim to safety despite his shattered leg. Back on the street, Fury warns that if Cap reaches the sewers, they will lose him for good. However, War Machine has managed to free himself from the rubble. Sitting on the edge of the riverbank, Widow asks Rhodey if he is ready to unleash everything he has left. War Machine fires a massive electrical charge directly into the water, electrocuting Captain America beneath the surface. The S.H.I.E.L.D. tactical team rushes to the river's edge, confirming that Widow and War Machine successfully zapped Cap in the water. Nick Fury walks up with a heavy pistol drawn, looking down at the riverbank. Captain America floats to the surface, unconscious and completely neutralized, signaling the end of the intense chase. The scene shifts to the French S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters at sunset. The new Avengers team, including a recovering nerd Hulk, is gathered around a glowing holographic table. Fury projects a golden floating cube, explaining that these are the blueprints AIM stole from the Baxter building. He reveals it is the Cosmic Cube, Mr. Fantastic's greatest creation, capable of bending reality to the user's will. Fury calls it the deadliest weapon in the history of science. Hawkeye is confused, recalling that the cube was supposedly deemed too dangerous and dropped back in time. Fury clarifies that AIM only stole the blueprints, but they are a cult of geniuses who are just days away from finishing construction. Fury explains AIM's hatred for democracy and warns that they are 48 hours away from completion. When Black Widow asks what the tactical plan is, Fury pulls his gun and simply states they are going to shoot the bastards. The team preps for deployment in an armory filled with futuristic tech. Gregory Stark watches as Fury briefs them, noting that War Machine is getting upgraded, and the rest of them will be using weapons 20 years ahead of their time. Nerd Hulk complains about his codename being insulting. Meanwhile, Black Widow mocks Hawkeye, asking if it hurt when he got taken down so easily by Cap earlier. Hawkeye is visibly uncomfortable around her, asking someone to get the freak away from him. Fury ignores the banter, sipping his coffee and noting that his time in Vietnam was less traumatic than being married to this Black Widow for 6 months, 2 weeks, and 5 days. We cut to AIM headquarters, a snowy, isolated base in Alaska. Inside the massive facility, a giant machine is currently constructing the Cosmic Cube. 2 high-ranking AIM officials are walking on a catwalk with the Red Skull. They discuss the Skull's psychology, admitting they admire his ruthless disregard for conventional thinking, but wondering if he secretly suffers from an inferiority complex. They ask if his cruelties are driven by a need to live up to his famous father's reputation. The Red Skull casually dismisses their psychological analysis. He states that he commits atrocities simply because they are fun, and because his middleman secures him an enormous fee. He shifts the focus back to the Cosmic Cube, which is 46 hours from completion. The AIM leaders debate which political and philosophical belief system they should use to rewrite reality once the cube is finished, mentioning a mix of Islam and libertarian Marxism. The Skull suddenly offers to help them decide. The Skull's help comes in the form of extreme violence. He pulls his handguns and brutally shoots down the AIM leaders right there on the catwalk. His men follow suit, opening fire on the remaining AIM guards. The Skull aims his gun at one of the leaders point blank, revealing that his contact promised him something very special if he agreed to come out of retirement. Red Skull stands triumphantly over the dead AIM commander. He steps on the man's chest and admires his smoking gun. Behind him, the massive machine continues to assemble the glowing Cosmic Cube. The Skull grins, realizing his mysterious employer wasn't kidding about the ultimate prize, with a chilling flashback narrated by General Nick Fury, detailing the sheer cruelty of the Red Skull. In a modest kitchen, the Skull holds a crying infant, pressing a heavy handgun directly to the baby's head. Fury explains this was the murder of Nikolai Laskov, a political activist. The psychological torment peaks as Laskov's wife, sobbing uncontrollably, is forced to execute her bound husband with kitchen scissors to save her child. Fury notes it took an hour of agonizing screams before she finished the horrific task. Proving he lacks any honor, the Red Skull callously drops the infant out the high-rise window anyway, beginning the longest night of the grieving woman's life, just to send a message. The story cuts to a snowy wasteland where the Red Skull relaxes on a crate, casually drinking a bottle of Stolichnaya vodka. Fury lists the Skull's global atrocities, noting that the terrible details of his cruelty in places like Vietnam and Afghanistan are permanently hardwired into human memory. In the present day at S.H.I.E.L.D., War Machine asks Fury about the second unforgettable incident involving the skull. Fury answers the question with a massive revelation that completely redefines history. He tells Rhodey to check his history books, reminding him that Captain America's son escaped their compound in November 1963. Fury asks how one would send a global message without taking orders, heavily implying the skull was responsible for the president's tragic death. A photorealistic black and white flashback shows the John F. Kennedy assassination in Dallas. Returning to the present, the Avengers team materializes in the Alaskan wilderness outside AIM headquarters. Nerd Hulk is physically sick from the teleportation, pulling down his mask to vomit into the snow. He groans that his stomach feels incredibly weird, comparing the severe nausea to the suffocating feeling of riding in a dangerously overheated car. Red Wasp admits the agonizing teleport was entirely her fault. She wore her gold wedding ring, a promise to her late husband, incorrectly assuming the metal was light enough not to interfere with the technology. Hulk angrily argues they should have used the teleplanes. Hawkeye coldly reminds him that teleplanes have a limited range and are highly unreliable when transporting multiple people at once. War Machine tries to make fun of Wasp for being romantic earlier, but she shuts him down, warning that her husband is dead. War Machine is sorry for Wasp and asks if she wants to talk about it. Wasp reveals that the woman scientist Fury was talking about earlier was her. Hawkeye approaches the heavy metal doors of the AIM facility and pushes them open. He is immediately greeted by an unimaginable bloodbath. The hangar floor is completely covered in the violently dismembered and broken bodies of AIM personnel. Stunned by the massacre, Hawkeye demands to know what happened. Inside the SHIELD control room, Nick Fury and his technicians watch the live visual feed in absolute horror. At the Alaskan compound, War Machine scans the massive pile of corpses, informing Fury that someone beat them to the objective. Rhodey detects only a single living pulse in the room. Suddenly, the Red Skull rises from the mountain of dead bodies, grinning maliciously at the newly arrived Avengers. Hawkeye and Black Widow react instantly, unleashing a massive barrage of gunfire directly at the skull. However, the Red Skull uses the cosmic cube to effortlessly transform the incoming bullets into harmless confetti. He casually notes that an hour ago the attack would have killed him. He tells AIM to eat each other, and that's what they did. That's the power Red Skull holds now. Black Widow realizes with absolute dread that AIM finished the cube early. The Red Skull proudly raises his hand, displaying the completed cosmic cube. The artifact is a perfectly geometric box radiating immense reality-altering power and a bright pink glow that illuminates his skinless face. With a mere thought, he channels its limitless energy. A massive, blinding explosion erupts from the cube, completely annihilating the AIM compound in a shockwave of fire and concussive force. The catastrophic blast instantly severs the visual feed at SHIELD, leaving Fury staring at the screens. In the Alaskan wasteland, the Avengers are scattered across the snow, struggling to recover from the explosion. Hawkeye pushes himself up, deeply bewildered. Emerging from the raging fires of the destroyed facility, the Red Skull walks out completely unscathed, holding the glowing cube and greeting the Red Wasp. Before the Red Skull can attack again, War Machine recovers and retaliates with heavy thrusters. Rhodey rockets through the air, creating a contrail over the snow. Driving him backward with the full weight of his mech suit, War Machine curses the Skull and demands he get away from Petra as they crash into the ice. The momentum carries War Machine and the Red Skull deep into a snowbank, kicking up massive clouds of white powder. Rhodey uses the hydraulic strength of his armor to ruthlessly pummel the Skull into the frozen ground. Pinning the villain down, War Machine aims his forearm-mounted pulse cannons directly at the Skull's chest. Screaming for him to die, he unleashes a blinding, point-blank energy blast. The relentless assault continues as Nerd Hulk bounds into the snowy fray. Still wearing his business suit and scarf, he asks War Machine to move out of the way. Nerd Hulk heaves a colossal piece of metallic debris, a massive engine component from the destroyed base, high over his head. He smashes the giant machinery onto the Red Skull. The rest of the tactical team regroups and joins the attack. Hawkeye and Black Widow aim for the Skull's face, emptying their magazines to break his defenses. However, the bullets bounce harmlessly off a force field projected by the cosmic cube. The Red Skull sits up amidst the wreckage, completely unbothered and smiling wickedly. He arrogantly taunts the Avengers to keep trying as he wants the practice. The narrative shifts completely to the sterile corridors of a S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters in France. Captain America walks down the hallway, securely handcuffed behind his back. He is escorted by 2 armed military guards and an arrogant French commander. The guards mock Steve Rogers, referencing Cap's supposed jokes about French military history, proudly listing off French military heroes like Lafayette and de Gaulle to humble the American. Inside an interrogation room, the commander points to a tracking device sitting on a desk. When asked who he was trying to track, Cap quickly corrects their assumptions. He wasn't tracking the Red Skull. He was tracking the Avengers. Cap reveals he covered the S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives in microscopic bugs to piggyback on their mission and locate his dangerous son without S.H.I.E.L.D.'s explicit permission or oversight. The French commander leans in, entirely baffled, asking Cap if this is some elaborate joke. Cap stares him down and explains he didn't know where his son was, but he knew S.H.I.E.L.D. did. He states firmly that the handcuffs were the only joke. With a sudden burst of super soldier strength, Cap easily snaps his metal restraints. Before the guards can react, he launches a backhand strike, knocking down one guard. Absolute chaos erupts as Cap systematically dismantles his armed captors. He delivers a flawless kick to a guard's chest, declaring his tracking plan was completely serious. Both terrified guards drop to their knees, begging for mercy. Ignoring the surrender, Cap grabs the commander by his hand and violently hurls the guards completely through the wall, destroying the interrogation room's structure. Upstairs in the command center, Nick Fury desperately tries to establish a comms link with Hawkeye. Gregory Stark asks about utilizing the nuclear failsafe embedded inside War Machine's armor. He states that retrieval is no longer an option, and containment is their absolute best-case scenario against the cube. The situation worsens when a technician frantically alerts Fury that Captain America has successfully escaped. Down in the hangar bay, Cap fights his way past a squad of mechanics, leaping onto the boarding ladder of an experimental teleplane jet. Fury screams a warning over the radio, explaining the aircraft is a prototype teleplane and turning on the engine could blow them all up. Cap dismisses the warning, asserting he knows exactly what he is doing, which is precisely why he intentionally got arrested near this specific hardware dump. Cap settles into the high-tech cockpit, commanding the computer to prepare the prototype teleplane for its first big jump. The sleek jet taxis down the runway, its dual engines burning bright blue as it takes to the sky. Over the radio, Nick Fury breaks protocol, pleading with Steve. He begs him to stay away, warning he cannot be objective when fighting his own son. Captain America sits inside the vibrating cockpit as the jet hits maximum velocity, completely surrounded by teleportation energy. His eyes are hidden behind a red visor as Cap coldly asks Fury for permission to speak freely. The exhausted general grants the request. Without an ounce of respect for his commander, Cap delivers his defiant final sign-off with 4 magical words before entering the war zone. Back in the snowy, barren wasteland of Alaska, the Red Skull finds himself completely surrounded by a large squad of heavily armored War Machine drone suits. Rhodey loudly initiates a strobe effect, preparing to launch a coordinated attack against the villain. Red Skull is not intimidated in the slightest by the show of force. Holding the glowing cosmic cube, he quickly realizes the armor surrounding him are just remote-controlled drones meant to confuse him and hide the real target. He uses the cube's immense reality warping power to blast all the fake suits away at once, but to his surprise, none of them are the real one. Mocking his unseen attacker, he demands to know what the real War Machine is going to do next. Suddenly, the real War Machine decloaks from stealth mode right behind him. War Machine immediately unleashes a brutal sonic attack, blasting Red Skull with deafening sound waves designed to completely disorient him. Even though he is clearly in immense pain, Red Skull pushes through the sonic barrage through sheer willpower. He taunts War Machine, asking if he really thought a sound trick would be enough to stop him. Red Skull then taps into the cosmic cube and hits him hard on his armor, throwing him backward. The scene shifts away from the battlefield to Nick Fury and Gregory Stark, who are safely monitoring the disastrous situation alongside their tactical team. Out in the freezing snow, Hawkeye radios Fury to report the grim reality of the battle. He explains that Red Skull has the cosmic cube and their ground team is completely outmatched, suggesting they resort to their final, extreme backup plan. Gregory Stark agrees with the assessment, bluntly stating to Fury that their conventional weapons and gadgets are completely useless against a god-tier artifact. He insists that dropping a nuclear bomb is their only viable option left. Meanwhile, Captain America contacts Fury from the aircraft, telling him to completely ignore Stark's extreme measures because he is currently on his way with a plan of his own. Inside the cockpit, Captain America intensely pilots his jet, telling Fury he just needs 5 more minutes to fix this mess. Back on the chaotic battlefield, Black Widow attempts to fight Red Skull by throwing gas bombs at him. Red Skull finds this laughable, mocking her for using basic utility belt gadgets while he wields the ultimate limitless power of the cosmic cube. He easily swats her attack away and hits her with a strike that sends her flying through the air. Using the reality-altering power of the cube, Red Skull decides to plunge Black Widow into a deeply traumatic memory. He completely reshapes the snowy environment around them into a dingy Bosnian interrogation room where she was once held captive and tortured. Red Skull reminds her of the horrific week she spent being aggressively questioned by a man named Dragomir before Hawkeye eventually managed to save her. As the armed men in the illusion violently grab her, Black Widow is forced to helplessly relive the terrifying experience all over again. Red Skull stands victorious over the helpless Black Widow in the snow, comparing the one-sided fight to taking candy from a baby and eagerly asking who wants to challenge him next. Over in Prague, Captain America's jet zooms dangerously close to a building, completely shattering the glass of the buildings. Over the radio, Nick strongly insists they need to detonate the nuclear bomb right now to stop the villain from doing any more damage. Cap begs Nick Fury for just 2 more minutes to arrive. On the battlefield, Black Widow aggressively yells at Nerd Hulk to stop hiding in the snow and join the fight. Nerd Hulk is absolutely terrified of the villain, arguing that Red Skull could kill him with a single thought just by using the cube. Widow refuses to accept this excuse and calls him a coward. She points out that the giant has the combined advantage of Bruce Banner's genius brain and the Hulk's massive physical power, making him the most dangerous guy on the planet. Convinced by her harsh pep talk, Nerd Hulk finally leaps into action. He charges headfirst toward Red Skull while in total panic. Red Skull calmly raises his glowing hand, confidently preparing to burn the charging giant to a crisp before he can even land a hit. To Red Skull's absolute shock, Nerd Hulk actually manages to resist the cube's power, telling him to back off. Filled with rage, Red Skull shouts that Hulk is not special at all. He insults him by calling him nothing more than a piece of dandruff grown from Bruce Banner's discarded skin cell. This deeply offends Hulk. Furious at being disrespected by someone he views as inferior, he orders Red Skull to stop talking to him like that and use all his powers to stop the cube's power. Hulk is screaming at Red Skull to stop putting him down. Nerd Hulk tries to crush the cube with all his power. Watching from the sidelines, Black Widow and Hawkeye are entirely stunned, believing that Hulk just accidentally crushed the cosmic cube. However, Red Skull turns to them with a sinister smile and reveals he was just messing with them for fun. He relentlessly blasts Nerd Hulk with the cosmic cube's raw energy. Red Skull stands triumphantly over the broken bodies of his defeated enemies. He reveals that he knew all about the nuclear bomb they were planning to drop on him, having listened in on their radio chatter the whole time. Just to show off his absolute superiority, he uses the cube to casually turn the surrounding debris and equipment into Hawkeye's childhood toys. He even casually mentions he might just raise Hawkeye's mother from the grave for a laugh. While Red Skull is distracted by his own power trip, a jet appears out of nowhere in the sky right behind Red Skull. Wasp teases him because his daddy is here. We get a tight close-up shot of Captain America inside the cockpit of the rapidly approaching jet. His face is set in pure, intense determination, as he prepares to make his final, desperate move. Captain America violently crashes his jet directly into Red Skull and the snowy ground. The massive, explosive impact sends a shockwave of snow, dirt, and shredded metal into the air as the plane completely destroys itself upon hitting the ground. Red Skull and the others survive the plane crash, and he is still holding on to the cosmic cube. He loudly complains that Captain America's big rescue attempt was pathetic and declares he is officially bored with all of them. He threatens to make Wasp relive her trauma just for kicks. Cap, stuck inside the crashed plane, demands that Hawkeye give him the exact coordinates of where Red Skull is standing. Hawkeye is confused, but he calls out his coordinates. Hearing this, Cap presses the button and calmly thanks Hawkeye for providing the targeting information. Red Skull suddenly throws his head back in agony as the glowing cosmic cube slips directly from his grasp. A long, sharp metal rod has been thrown with precision, impaling him straight through the chest from behind. The rest of the defeated team looks on in complete shock at what just happened. The cube slips out of Red Skull's hand. Hawkeye shouts, "Bullseye!" proudly congratulating himself and Cap for hitting him so accurately. This wide shot shows the massive aftermath of Captain America's well-executed strategy. Red Skull's body is impaled on the jagged nose of the ruined jet. In a small inset panel, Captain America looks down at his defeated enemy and quietly apologizes to his son. Red Skull screams in absolute agony, sporting a massive hole in his chest where the metal pole went entirely through him. Standing atop the wrecked plane with the rest of the surviving team gathered below, Captain America finishes his thought, telling his dying son that an apology was all he really wanted to say. The scene jumps forward to a SHIELD hospital in New York. Nick Fury and Captain America are standing outside Red Skull's room. Fury notes that he has enough time to say a proper goodbye to his mother. Cap thanks Fury for giving the woman this chance, and Fury replies that it was the least they could do for both of them. Then his mother comes out of the room, and she and Cap both stare into each other's eyes. They both share a quiet, highly emotional hug with the woman. Afterward, Fury stands alone by Red Skull's bedside. Fury asks what they talked about, and he simply says they discussed regrets on both sides. Red Skull, struggling to speak through a medical mask, bitterly asks what would be a regret for a bad guy like him, not having any happy memories. Red Skull confesses that he never actually wanted the cosmic cube to rule the world or do evil. Instead, he wanted to use it to turn back time and fundamentally make things differently. Red Skull explains his deeply tragic motivation, stating he just wanted his father to come home from the war, marry his mother, and give him a normal, happy family life. We see a brief, idealized vision of Captain America, the mother, and a young boy enjoying a bright day at an amusement park. Back in reality, Red Skull asks if it is really too much to ask to just be happy for once. Nick Fury coldly responds that happy endings simply do not exist. Beside him, Laskoff unholsters a pistol and shoots Red Skull directly in the head, executing him in his hospital bed and taking his long-awaited revenge, while Fury casually watches. Sometime later, at a quiet SHIELD safe house, Nick Fury is talking with Gregory Stark. Fury mentions that Project Avengers is officially reopened for business. He points out that the Red Skull's devastating attack perfectly reminded everyone why the world desperately needs a Black Ops team, intentionally airing SHIELD's dirty laundry in public solely to make Fury's team necessary again. As Stark takes a drink from a water bottle, he drops the professional act and directly accuses Fury of engineering this entire crisis from the start, which makes Fury surprised. Stark smirks at the accusation, telling Fury not to insult his intelligence by acting innocent. He claims Fury is the one who hired the Red Skull and acted as the middleman who lured him out of retirement in the first place. Fury glares back, leaning over the table to tell Stark that he is being highly judgmental for someone who broke Jim Rhodes. Standing up and looking fully determined, Fury confidently declares that he is going to get his old job back, doing whatever it takes.